A few days ago, I brought up the subject of uh, Rameysa OzTurk, a Turkish national, a Fulbright scholar, a doctoral candidate at Tufts University, who was abducted by masked ICE agents as she walked to an iftar dinner at the end of the Ramadan fast for the day in Somerville, Massachusetts. No warning, no charge, no lawyer. And within hours, she was flown 1,500 miles away to a detention center in rural Louisiana in flagrant violation of a Massachusetts court order issued shortly after her arrest. It's an incident that should send a chill down the spine of anyone who cherishes free speech, the proper process of law, and the dignity of individual life and democracy. I think it's also a sign of the extension of this hostile environment that Theresa May uh, championed in Britain all those years ago, 12, 15 years ago, nearly 20 years ago. Um, and the real problem is that when a government is looking to attack migrants, it starts with students because they're so well documented. And and not only has it already got money from them, they've invested their life savings or their parents' life savings in this wonderful opportunity abroad. But once you've thrown them out, they're likely to come crawling back because they've got this investment. The wonderful thing about foreign students working and studying in your university is that when you get it right, they act as ambassadors for the host country, and they go back to their own countries with ideas that they've gleaned, ideas that they've principles and and ways of living and ways of looking at things. I think particularly in Albania how the architecture has changed significantly because of the many Albanians who've gone back to Albania and built the most amazing houses according to British standards. But let's not be unequivocal here. This wasn't a routine visa violation or revocation. It was a political extraction. It was an extrajudicial rendition of a student for the crime of writing. And I've seen the what America's called the op-ed, what I would call an editorial, her so-called offence, which was co-authoring a campus newspaper in 2024, co-authoring this editorial, criticising Israel's actions in Gaza and calling on Tufts University to acknowledge what she termed a genocide and to divest from Israeli-linked firms. That's it. And that is the evidence cited by groups such as the Canary Mission and Stop Anti-Semitism, who have campaigned tirelessly for her removal. No violence, no incitement, simply a political document protected under the First Amendment. Yes, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in full MAGA plumage, justified her arrest by citing support for Hamas, a claim made with no accompanying proof and a contemptuous conflation of criticism of Israel with endorsement of terrorism. And let's remember, Hamas is indeed a designated terrorist organization. But no credible evidence has been offered at all that Ms. OzTurk has any connection with Hamas, and her actual words in the editorial actually affirmed the equal dignity and humanity of all people. And I've spoken out regularly. I've done video after video criticizing Netanyahu's excessive force, his mass punishment of the Palestinians, of the Gazans. I've been calling regularly for Britain and other European states to recognize the state of Palestine. And this isn't in any way to salute or indulge in any form of anti-Semitism. I'm a great supporter of the principle of Israel, but under Netanyahu, this is a travesty of democracy and a travesty of human rights and humanity. This what is happening in Israel at the moment is appalling, and it needs to be called out. And what is happening in the States, as evidenced by Ms. OzTurk's incarceration, is the weaponization of immigration law as a bludgeon against dissent. Trump's second-term administration, now turbocharged by Muskian rhetoric and McCarthyite logic, is invoking a 1952 Cold War statute from the era of loyalty oaths and blacklists to silence foreign students who dare to criticize American allies. As Rubio boasts, this is happening every day with over 300 visas cancelled on similar grounds. Well, that's 300 visas that shouldn't be cancelled, isn't it? And Turkey has rightly expressed alarm. I'm surprised it's taken it so long. I was onto this story a couple of days ago, and Turkey should have been there immediately. But OzTurk's ordeal is not merely an immigration case. It's a referendum on the survival of academic freedom in the United States. Her colleagues, her professors' unions, the Boston Teachers Union, the SEIU, have rallied in protest, calling her arrest chilling and cruel and a state-sanctioned political kidnapping. They're right. Tufts University has voiced concern, though its CEO seems to be quite pleased with what's going on. Legal organizations such as the Freedom of Press Foundation have warned that this case marks a dangerous precedent. If editorials, if op-eds can lead to deportation, academic life in America is not safe. It's not safe for international students. And what's happening in America could easily be happening in the UK. It was the UK where students were randomly picked up for minor errors in their immigration bureaucracy, thrown out of the country in the sure knowledge that they'll come crawling back because they've paid so much money. Students are an easy target because they are so well documented. OzTurk's legal team has now filed a habeas petition, and a federal judge has thankfully blocked her deportation for now, but the danger is far from over. Her visa was cancelled without notice. She was spirited away before her lawyers could even locate her. Her DHS continues to conflate Palestinian advocacy with terrorism. That's wrong. This isn't just about OzTurk. This is about whether the United States remains a republic governed by law or has become an empire governed by vengeance and greed, whether academic dissent is to be treasured or treated as treason. If the United States begins deporting scholars not for actions but for words, not for violence but for ideas, then we've crossed the Rubicon. We've entered the terrain of authoritarianism masking as patriotism, and whether you're in the United States or whether you're in Russia, you need to be very careful about what you say and who hears you say it. The demand is simple. Free Rameysa OzTurk, restore her visa, restore the First Amendment, and set an example for the rest of the world to follow. Because where the United States leads, other countries poodle behind. And we need to stop the slow erosion of liberty in the name of what? Security? It's not secure to remove our freedom. It's not secure to punish somebody for doing something that has been celebrated around the States for years. It's simply wrong. We must treat people who we have given a visa to as honoured guests and as equals, and particularly people who are studying and who are at the forefront of the of academic discovery. This treatment is simply wrong.